Hi, 8th grade. This is Mrs. Trendell here from SCAZA to do our next lesson. But let's just talk about our last lesson on effective communication before we begin. So we talked about the use of our words and our facial expressions and our body language in order to communicate it effectively. We also talked about how effective communication helps us to connect with people. So today in our 8th grade lesson 4, which is titled Friend Request, we are going to discuss friendships and other relationships. So healthy friendships and relationships and unhealthy friendships and relationships. Gaining independence. It wasn't that long ago when you needed your parents for everything. Now you are developing your own interests, ideas, and opinions. You are stretching out your independence. You are starting to question what people tell you as you figure out what's important to you and what your values are. Not long ago, an exciting Friday night might have been going to the movies with your mom and dad. Now you might not even want to be seen in public with your parents. So many of you would rather spend your free time with your friends. Think about what it is about your friends that you enjoy. Okay, your shared interests, maybe your the things that you like to talk about and laugh about. So many of your friends you have today you met by chance, maybe because they live in your neighborhood. Maybe you met in school. Friendships can begin by a chance meeting and shared interests, but only some friendships continue over time. So that might be because people change over time, okay? People develop new interests, and sometimes friends grow apart. So when life is going well, friends are there for you to encourage you to be the best that you can be. Friends share your joys, right? They support and encourage us. And friends are also there for us when life is tough, okay? They can be there to listen to us. They can have our back. They can accept us no matter what. They can cheer us up. And they can tell us the truth when it might be hard to hear. Okay, so healthy friendships make us stronger by building our confidence and making life more fun. However, just because you have common interests doesn't mean that a person will have other good friend qualities. Okay, when you meet someone, it takes time to get to know them. You don't learn everything about them all at once. And dating can present a similar challenge. Okay, whether your relationship is a friendship or something more romantic, you want to find someone who has qualities that will match yours. So if you could design a relationship, what qualities would you want to include? So what are some good qualities that you would want in a friendship or a relationship? So I listed some here. I listed dependable, loyal, fun, maybe it'd be a good listener, someone who's trustworthy, honest, accepting, kind, somebody that has a good sense of humor, someone who's patient, someone who's happy, selfless. Okay, the list really could go on and on. And you might think of some more qualities in your head that I have not listed. Okay, but what qualities would you not stand for in a relationship? What are the qualities that are not acceptable? Okay, so some that I listed, and you might think of some on your own also. Someone who lies, someone who gossips. So when you tell them important confidential information, they go and tell the whole school, or they tell everyone. Someone that uses you, someone that's selfish, someone that's unkind, someone who does risky behaviors, okay, so takes risks that are dangerous, someone who doesn't listen, someone who is constantly causing conflict or drama, someone who's a bully. Okay, so those are some of those qualities that we would not want in a relationship. So what do we feel when we are in an unhealthy relationship? We're going to talk about that next. So I'm not sure if any of you have been in a relationship before. If you have, I hope that it was a healthy relationship. But for someone that's in an unhealthy relationship, some of the feelings that go along with that might be the feeling of just being frustrated and sad, maybe angry, maybe helpless, confused, resentful. Okay, so those are just some of the feelings that go along with an unhealthy relationship. Obviously, all of those feelings are negative feelings. Relationships are constantly evolving. Okay, we need to periodically evaluate how they are working. If we don't address unhealthy behaviors or characteristics right away, right when you see them, they can slowly chip away at our self-esteem and individuality. Communicating what you feel and what you need from a friend is often the same things our friends need, or the people in our relationships. We want the friendship to stay intact as much as you do, okay? So only they may be too frightened or insecure to say what they feel. So feeling confident to stand up for yourself and expressing what you need in your relationships is very important. So how many of you have experienced peer pressure? Okay, it can be difficult to know what to do when someone is trying to coerce you into doing something, okay, into doing something you don't want to do when you know it's wrong. So by knowing effective peer pressure refusal strategies, it will help you to find yourself, if you find yourself in a tricky or a risky situation and you need to get out of it quickly. Okay, in the next slide, we're gonna identify these strategies and talk about them in more depth. So some refusal strategies that we can use when we're in a peer pressure situation are listed below. So the first one says walk away. Okay, so sometimes if you can just walk away from the situation. The next one, ignore. Okay, don't debate or speak to the person pressuring you. Just pretend you don't even hear them. The next one, excuse me, a better idea. This strategy suggests coming up with something better to do. Okay, just ask the person or tell the person, let's go play basketball instead, or let's go, instead of going to the park, let's go watch TV. Okay, so finding a better idea, something else to do, so you're not in that situation. How about make an excuse? Okay, so think of something reasonable you need to do, like homework or chores, to get out of that peer pressure situation. Maybe tell your friend that your mom needs you. You have to go home. Okay. Okay, next is steer clear, strategy number 5. Okay, so steer clear. It's avoiding the pressure situation altogether. So if you know that there's a dangerous situation or it's too risky, don't go anywhere near it. If you know that if you walk home a certain way and there's a group of kids hanging out smoking cigarettes, try to walk another way home. Okay, so you avoid that situation. Okay, how about broken record? Okay, so choose a statement like, I don't want to. Just repeat it over and over until the person stops pressuring you. Reverse the peer or the pressure. Okay, so say something like, well, if you were my friend, you wouldn't be pressuring me into doing something I don't want to do, right? You're putting it back on them. How about state the facts? Okay, so state the facts is another way to refuse the pressure by stating the reasons why this behavior or the activity they're trying to do is unhealthy or unsafe or simply a bad idea. Okay, so if they're trying to get you to smoke cigarettes, you can state the facts. Smoking causes cancer or lung cancer, and smoking is bad for your health. And give them the reasons why, the factual reasons why you don't want to do that. Okay, and also one I don't have on here is just saying no. Okay, just say no. Be confident. A confident person is more respected than someone that just goes into that peer pressure and gets himself in trouble. Okay, so now we're going to talk about peer influence, and we're going to understand what influence means. And So many of us have been in a situation where no one has tried to persuade you to do anything, but you did something you knew you shouldn't, just to fit in or to be accepted. So this self-inflicted pressure, the pressure you're putting on yourself, is often the result of peer influence. Okay, so that's what peer influence means. You're putting that pressure on yourself because of your peers, something that they're doing. So we let the actions of others influence our behavior, and we don't stop to think about what could truly be, or what we truly want to do, and we don't stop to think about the consequences. So we don't stop to think and consider the consequences. So sometimes we put a great deal of pressure on ourselves, okay? Often we assume that our friends have certain expectations of us, when in reality they are much more concerned about themselves and what others think of them. So we're going to take a look at some scenarios where you're going to have to think about the situation and think about how you would feel in that situation and how you would handle that situation. So you're going to need to think of how you would communicate to your friend in an assertive manner, right? In an assertive way where you're confident, you're standing up for yourself, but you're not being rude or not being hurtful. And in these situations, you're going to tell what you would do to manage this friendship. Okay, so you might need to pause the slideshow when you get to each of these if you want, so that you can write down your answers, or you can just think about them and think what you would say. I'll read each one so it gives you a chance after to pause it, and we'll talk about them after. So peer predicament number one, scenario number one. Edgar has just realized that his friend Ken only likes to hang out with him when his older sister is around. It doesn't really bother Edgar that Ken is interested in his sister. However, he feels used and is questioning their friendship. Okay, so how would you feel if you were Edgar? And how would you handle the friendship with Ken? Some of you might have been in this situation before, or a very similar situation. So what would you say and what would you do? Okay, scenario number two. Mandy and Joel have been dating for several months. Joel, insists that Mandy spend all of her time with him and gets jealous when she hangs out with her friends. Mandy misses her friends, but she is afraid to confront Joel, fearing that he might break up with her. How would you feel if you were Mandy? And how would you handle this relationship with Joel? Scenario number three. Amber wants to do well on her upcoming math test, so she schedules extra time over the weekend to practice her equations. Her best friend Monica wants her to go to the mall with her this weekend and tries to convince Amber to quit studying and just copy the answers from someone else's test. How would you feel if you were Amber? And how would you handle the relationship with Monica? So hopefully you came up with some answers and some thoughts on how you would handle these kind of difficult situations. So in the first scenario, Edgar has to carefully examine his friendship with Ken. He realizes that he feels used in this situation. Okay, so we all want to be liked for who we are, not for what we have or what we can do for that other person. Okay. In scenario two, Mandy really had to think about her relationship. Okay, so in good relationships are based on honesty, and Mandy knew that she had to tell Joel how she felt, and if she didn't, she would have to give up on her friends, and Mandy knew that this was not acceptable. And in scenario number three, you could use one of our peer pressure refusal strategies, okay, in this situation, because this is her friend pressuring her to do something she doesn't feel comfortable doing. Okay, so a true friend wouldn't try to pressure you to do something you don't think is right. So a real friend would encourage you to study hard and reach your goals. So it's great to make the effort to keep our friendships and our relationships intact, but sometimes friendships change, okay? So it's up to us to make the hard choices about whether or not, a friendship is worth keeping. Healthy relationships require trust and confidence. So just reflect. Are your friendships or relationships healthy? Are there issues that you need to address? And are you being a good friend to others? Okay, so just take some time to think about that. And if there's something that needs to be adjusted, try to use the skills that we talked about to address them. Okay, so your ability to identify and manage your emotions, like we talked about in the other lesson, in lesson number 3, and by using the effective communication skills that we learned, making sure that we're being assertive, and we're also using active listening, and by using social awareness skills, so by being self-aware and aware of others around you, you will be able to make and keep strong, healthy relationships throughout your life. When we are surrounded with positive influences, we are more apt to making better, less risky choices and are more likely to reach our goals. So now that we've learned these skills, these important skills in life, like making good decisions, managing our emotions, effective communication, and how to build and keep strong, healthy relationships, we're going to talk about the rest of the lessons. We're going to get into talking more about substance use and abuse, and how using these skills can keep us on track from reaching our goals, okay, and not letting these substances get in the way, okay, these risky behaviors. And so next lesson, we're going to start talking about the effects of alcohol use. Okay, so again, if you have any questions or comments, please email me at scazaprevention@gmail.com, and I will get back to you. All right, have a great week until we see you next time. Bye-bye.